the week after that, I believe that's April 6th, is JXT, the J-Stick. And the week after that, the 13th, we got Chelsea Durden. So,
Oi!
Hmm?
Oi!
They.
That's all I'll say. Oi and they.
No, obviously the biggest news and takeaway this week was Triple H formally announcing his
Yep.
retirement. One of the all-time greats. And what a bad way to end it. I mean, not ending it on his own terms. No, Scooter?
Yeah, an absolute loss for potential in-ring, future matches. Not that we were seeing much of Triple H in the ring before he went out with this heart condition. His last standard match was in 2019 in June, I believe, and his last official pay-per-view bout was, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, his last official match was against Randy Orton in January 2021. I don't remember that. And his last official match was at a Tokyo WWE event in 2019 when he teamed with Shinsuke Nakamura to defeat Samoa Joe and Robert Roode.
I think his last official match was Undertaker and Kane with Shawn Michaels.
I believe that was just before, because I believe they did that. They did Super Showdown at the same time they were doing the Tokyo tour.
Well, I mean, say what you will about his career, obviously there's an asterisk on it for obvious reasons, but when he got in that ring, it was undeniable that he was one of the best and one of the more entertaining talents in the ring as well. Um, it just bothers me because Triple H was the first world champion I saw on WWE TV, and now there's no more Triple H, which is kind of crazy to me.
Well, there's no word yet on if he'll return to his uh, duties in the WWE. It's unlikely now at this point. Uh, the man has a defibrillator in his chest now.
Right.
Like, he's got to be careful when he takes a friggin' shower now. Like, no, if you have a defibrillator, just no, you won't get electrocuted in the shower. But yeah, that's the type of joke I think Triple H would make. About his his condition. One of the things he did say was he was he faced reality hard during this time because there was a real possibility where we might have lost Triple H.
Yes. And that's just insane because he's not that old.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, give a brief word on this. In his first significant update since that cardiac event he suffered, he also suffered from pneumonia, which got worse to the point of coughing up blood. And then they found the fluid on his lungs and around his heart. Uh, for those of you who don't know what the ejection fraction is, Google it. Can't explain it now, but it's essentially the measurement of the percentage of the blood that leaves your heart each time it pumps. It should be around 50 to 60. When he got checked out, 30. It was at 30, and then he was told to pack a bag and go directly to the emergency room. By the time he got there, it was down to 20. Next morning, it was down to 12, which is considered near death.
Right.
And at that point, they were planning a heart cauterization. And they were literally planning to essentially, in very vulgar terms, yeah, we're sealing part of his heart off with essentially a blowtorch.
Oh God.
To prevent get that fluid gone. Um, he had moments where he wondered if every time he closed his eyes, if he would open them again, and that changes you. I don't care who you are. You could be the healthiest person alive, and the next day you could immediately be, at death's door. And, you know, honestly, and this is not saying anything against Triple H, but honestly, I would prefer if I never saw Triple H on my TV again. I would prefer he stay at home with his family, be the loving father we all know he is, and stay out of the drama that's associated with being in a high-ranking position up in Stanford.
That and that's the $1 million question, isn't it? Should he come back to walk in any capacity now that obviously when he's ready or healthy enough, or should he kind of say, just stay home, honestly, like you just said?
Well, well, given the fact that it's Triple H who lives and breathes this business, yeah, he won't stay away. I would almost guarantee it. It's Triple H. Come on. Uh, but his capacity is going to be in office only. And if we ever actually do see him on television, don't expect him to get physical. He won't.
Right. But his role in NXT was never, as many as times as he has appeared in NXT, was never physical. Maybe once to promote a angle with Seth Rollins was it. So, if he does go back to NXT and does anything in that capacity, I wouldn't expect him to get physical. Unless they absolutely knew for sure 100% that he was going to be okay. Um,
Yep. Uh,
could you could we maybe share one Triple H moment that you enjoyed?
okay. Um, there's a there's a Twitch channel, Legend 33 style, and it shows old Monday Night Raw, Nitro, only your house pay-per-views, and for the past week or so, they've been going through 1996 into 97. And that made me think of the Slammy Awards. And in '97, the Slammy Awards had a Best Bikini Bod competition at the at the beginning where women were starting to get back into the into the limelight. And of course there was Sunny, Sable, the Funkettes. Uh, there's a fourth one in there, and I can't remember. But the fifth one was supposed to be China. Triple H walks up when China gets announced and says, "Oh, I'm withdrawing her from the from this," and he makes a crack about Sunny. He says, "We all know Sunny's only good for one thing, and I got a best friend that says she's not even good at that." And had we been as smart as we are now, and had the ethics and the morals of today taken place back then, you could be sure that Triple H probably would have been out on his ass. And it just and this is really before essentially solidifying himself as Triple H.
Maybe one of the first moments that D-Generation X the Triple H came out.
Yes, because this was the night before WrestleMania 13. It was literally the infancy of the Attitude Era.
Right. Now, two moments stick out in my mind, and that would be the Triple H Undertaker Penn Station match. Um, just seeing him get tombstone by Undertaker down the escalator. I mean, iconic.
See,
And the other one would have to be the Christmas episode where he wrestled Shawn Michaels for the European title. Um,
where we all thought it was going to be this big fight, and then it's a finger poke of doom.
yes. And, they did it. WWE knew how to promote a finger poke of doom better than WCW did. And my favorite moment of that was, besides my kids being born, I don't have any kids. This is the greatest day of my life.
Oh man, and you just going to that Penn Station thing. I used to ride that escalator every weekend for years.
Did you
I
see
mean,
any of Triple H's hair still lodged in there?
uh, I collected some skin flakes, and I'm still working on my Triple H clone to this day.
Hmm. Maybe Triple H will come back sooner than
Uh,
we thought.
so therefore, I mean, it would technically be Triple H, so Sextuple H or non-double H. I don't know.
Cody Rhodes. It is believed that he will be presented as the American Nightmare when he debuts at WrestleMania. Um, is this the right move on WWE's part to have the same presentation as AEW? Or should we see a different version of Cody Rhodes?
Quite honestly, we need the AEW Cody Rhodes in WWE. He he found his his niche. He found his charisma, and not to say he let it go to his head exactly, but
It kind of did. Let's
Yeah,
not beat around
but
the bush here.
you know, it almost runs in parallel. I think if you consider Cody Rhodes' rise as a longer version of Randy Orton's rise, that Randy was, you know, given the world title immediately and then, was immediately regretted and undone a month later. Uh, and I think Cody progressed outside of WWE in the way Orton would have had he not been placed in Evolution. So I think, yes, I think we have to see the American Nightmare. Otherwise, it's, for lack of a better term, it's only smoke and mirrors.
Um, you know, I kind of see where you're going, and if they want to make him, you know, a title contender, Universal or WWE, then maybe you're right. But I'm not sure if the same presentation would work in WWE because he doesn't have that backing he had as in AEW. We knew that when he came out with 50 billion people and had an entourage and the bus and the overdone pyro was because he had a high position in AEW, but in WWE it would just really seem forced. Like, why are they giving
Well,
Cody so much when he wasn't that big of a deal when he left? He was Stardust when he left.
well, I mean, Drew McIntyre wasn't a big deal when he left. McIntyre got loads better and came back to be what we know today. Um, it's it's just a different road getting back to the WWE. This is a situation where both parties, Cody Rhodes and the WWE, have to cooperate with each other. Otherwise, this fails miserably, and it he they they're not going to at least try to book Cody into the ground.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, his first match is going to be against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania.
and
That
if they give
seems like a big match to me.
yes, and if they since they're clearly planning on keeping it a surprise, there
As everybody knows.
there's going to be a huge video package you know Undertaker American Badass debut.
We're being joined by Kaliko Yachts.
What it do, man? I had to sit back and soak in that news today, man. I actually watched the interview. I was like, wow. But I'm pretty sure y'all probably already jumped on that part.
Well, I'll get your opinion after we cover Cody. They're saying that the American Nightmare presentation is going to be the new Cody in WWE, and I was on kind of going over should he be the American Nightmare in WWE? Your thoughts, Kuliko?
One of those I believe it when it happens moment. Because the one thing us as fans kind of do is we tend to overinflate rumors And when they don't meet the expectations that we create ourselves, then we're pissed. So for me, I think this is the first time I really like tried to avoid any and all dirt sheets about anything Cody, because I'll be there. So what I want to do is actually gauge an actual reaction to people who are the casual people who may or may not care, because that's the question.
Right.
And that's the question, because he's hot in the sense of the wrestling community, and yeah, he got a little buzz for like the TNT show, but other than that, like, is it really transcendent? Because there are reasons why he wouldn't go back, and there are reasons to think that this is all one giant work. So that's why I just want to like let this sit, because we don't know what the hell they're doing with Seth. I like the Seth story, but I don't think I want to reserve my judgment until I see it live in person.
Alright. And could we get your opinion on the untimely retirement of Triple H?
Dude, I was sitting at work. For those, I got a job. So I literally took over the company TV, to watch this interview. So when he said it was over, it was like, whoa. And I think that we were clowning about in it, like how Vince and everybody kind of took over NXT after Triple H kind of was in the hospital. And this kind of puts it in perspective, like, this motherfucker was this close to dying, so the show had to go on, right?
Right.
And I guess that was his sign of him having to take a step back and look at things that are more important to him. And he's had a hell of a career, so it sucks. And to think that we were that close to losing two of the Click members consecutively back-to-back years.
Right.
That would have been freaking nuts. That would have been just bananas. But I'm glad he was able to pull through, and he had a hell of a ride, and now he needs to go back to what he's doing best: get these new stars, in, man, and get them going. So Godspeed to Triple H, the game. I already cracked the 40 for him, poured it out. You good?
Can you share with us a favorite Triple H match or moment?
Let me see. Triple H match. Two Triple H match. Like, everyone was kind of going through that all day. Two matches come to mind for me. The first one is WrestleMania 28, the Hell in a Cell, which is great storytelling. It's just bar none, right? The second match, I don't think no one really put it in there, but to me, it was him and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30.
Hmm.
Because to me, that was my first WrestleMania, right? But wait, hold on. Oh, triple. Okay, never mind. I had a complete mindfuck there. I screwed up. Go on. Glad to hear my man's back, man. Glad you're doing well. Hope you're doing well anyway. But yeah, Triple H, Daniel Bryan, and that was my first WrestleMania. So when your first WrestleMania, and the first WrestleMania match was probably one of the best opening matches in WrestleMania history. Like, that was a holy shit moment for me. But I mean, just to me, and plus all his interests. His interests was fire as fuck. And then the next year, I took my now wife to her first WrestleMania at that time, and it was Triple H and Sting. So I mean, and 32 Triple H and Roman. So I've been there at least on the back end. So it's good to say that I got to see him at WrestleMania. I've seen him wrestle in person, but never in WrestleManias. So that was a bucket list that I was happy to kick off.
Come to think of it, the first ever wrestling event I saw live in person, the main event was Triple H and Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton and Umaga. So,
Ooh.
I mean, yeah, Triple H was really at the top of his game in that era, and I'm glad I had the pleasure of seeing him wrestle so many times over the years.
My first Triple H match that I got to see him live when as an adult was Triple H, Ric Flair, Taboo Tuesday, San Diego steel cage match for the Intercontinental title.
That's a good one.
Like
Um,
crazy.
um, my first time seeing Triple H in the ring, January 25th, 1997, at the Garden.
Ooh,
Triple H as Intercontinental Champion defeats Jake Roberts.
wow.
This was the night Savio Vega turned on Ahmed Johnson, something very rare that ever happened at a house show. Um, uh, Shawn Michaels Mankind in the main event, Sid versus The Undertaker, Bret Hart Vader, um, Steve Austin and Gold Dust, Godwins against Bob Holly and Owen Hart, uh, The Nation against Ahmed and Savio, and the opening match, The Rock against Salvatore Sincere.
Wow. Nice.
um, moving on. I feel like this needs to be addressed. Tony Storm earlier this week created an OnlyFans, and a subscription is $20, and in
1
1 hour
hour,
of
30
being
grand.
open, she made $1 million allegedly. Yeah, my
Um, wait, um, I mean, 50,000, that would be 50,000. I heard a lower number.
Yeah, I thought it was in the range of 31
I heard 30 grand in an hour.
in an hour.
either
Yeah.
way, that's still an impressive margin. Does Tony Storm even need to wrestle anymore?
No, she just has to, you know, show an occasional nipple.
Yeah, but wrestlers, you know what? She ain't the only
Mm,
wrestler on OnlyFans.
yeah.
And one thing wrestlers know how to do, female wrestlers, is to show it without showing it. So
And it's,
Nia Jax's next.
yeah,
She announced August March
March
30th.
30th, supposedly, that's the, thing. It's accompanied by a picture of her in a bustier. And there, also below it, you'll find the tweet that says that of her responding, "Oh, will she ever open an OnlyFans?" And she says, "No, never."
Well,
Like,
here we are, and
well, you know, if she does, you know what? She's got one member right here.
I mean, yeah, man. Tony though, oh my God, I heard about Tony. But Tony, I guess, because it helps Tony because she's openly like bisexual. So the promiscuity
She
factor.
just, she just greedy.
Is $20 a subscription greedy?
No, I wasn't. I was talking about wanting both men and women.
Oh, okay. But I mean, if both men and women subscribe, then you're playing to two markets. It's actually smart. Um. So yeah, should if this money continues, should she continue wrestling? Should she put her body through all that? Or
Only if she's smart with the money she gets.
so no Bitcoin?
That's the key. If she's smart with the money she gets, she won't have to wrestle again.
All right. It was announced last week, but obviously we did a tribute show instead. That Queen Chamele will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. I don't want to talk about who deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, who shouldn't. Oh, Miss Elizabeth. Um, let's just kind of celebrate Queen Chamele because as great as the King Booker gimmick was, it was 100% enhanced by having Queen Chamele next to him. No, Scooter?
Oh, absolutely.
Kalika?
Of course. I mean, I got to meet her one time, right, at a Bruce Pritchard show, and she had the crown. She no, no, she didn't have the crown. She didn't have the crown, but I still had to I still addressed her as Your Majesty. I had to keep it pushing, man. I had to keep that rolling. So she was a good sport about it because caught her on a good night, got a nice picture, and kept it moving. But yeah, congrats. And then Shad is the Warrior Award winner.
Warrior bumper.
And I think that's
So
so well deserved as well. You
it
know,
it is I believe so.
it seemed like the Warrior Award, when it was first announced, it was more of a publicity thing with the people that they were inducting. But now it kind of seems like they're acknowledging Ultimate Warrior's wishes when he said they should do a Warrior Award in his acceptance speech. Do you agree or disagree, Swiddle?
Yeah, I agree. It was the it seemed like it was more publicity driven at first.
Do you think that going forward that we're going to see more of this with the Warrior Award? People in the wrestling world that are doing good or have done good, Kaliko?
Well, it depends. I mean, the first person was Connor, so I got where that was coming from because that was the genesis of Connor's cure, which is their push for cancer research. I think it was the first couple of recipients were like cancer survivors, so it was just more or less like trying to. I could see them doing it to try to bring attention to a greater cause because it makes sense to try to do it during WrestleMania season where more people are cognizant of WrestleMania season than in the middle of September, right? Um, as they trend towards that, honestly, I would look at it more as a wrestling humanitarian award. I mean, if it wasn't Shad, DDP should have got that bitch.
And I
I,
hope that one day he will get that award.
and that's where I would think that's one thing I would think the award would represent those who are using wrestling for the greater good outside of wrestling, right?
Right.
Or doing heroic acts in the greater good.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Um, on that one last bit of news, it's obviously old news at this point, but I still want to address it. Big E broke his neck 2 weeks ago on SmackDown. Um, obviously he was slated to have some position in WrestleMania. But it does seem like Rich Holland is taking a lot of slack for it. No, I'm not saying that Rich intentionally hurt him. Accidents do happen. But do we blame this on just lack of experience, Scooter? Lack of
No,
experience, lack of skill, lack of.
no, I would not, I would not blame Ridge for this, especially given that he went through literally, well, not literally, but nearly the same thing, but not exactly the same thing, just the circumstances of getting, in the ring and getting legit injured. Um, that being said, you know, I can see people giving him flack for it, and that is absolutely terrible.
Right.
Um, but you know, I'm almost positive Biggie doesn't blame him. It's a these are things that happen
Right.
when
Accidents happen.
when you are in the business of professional wrestling. That's a risk you take every night you go out there.
Well, no, and I certainly wasn't saying, this was Rich's fault or anything. What I was kind of alluding to was kind of what as the only indie worker here, what went wrong? Was it just lack of experience or just a bad throw on his part?
You know, now I missed the actual move itself. What
Okay,
move was it that
it was a belly to belly suplex.
a belly to belly suplex? Biggie throwing or Ridge throwing?
Rich throwing.
Rich
Okay.
throwing Big E, that's fucking a stretch, homie. I'm
It,
just letting you know, it's a
it,
stretch.
it is a stretch. The one thing you have to remember is that in every wrestling moves are not one person does something. It's always two people doing something. So as much as someone is doing something to you, you have to position yourself right in order to make it look convincing. Now, whether or not, and I would doubt that Ridge would call for that spot. I think I think Big E called for that spot, quite honestly. Um, and Big E unfortunately did not get enough bounce, enough jump off that off the because he's gotta jump as well. You can't just dead weight throw somebody into a belly to belly suplex. Even in something that looks as simple as a body slam, the hands have to be positioned by the opponent just right to make it look like it does damage. Um, this would not be the first time, in the WWE where people have attempted spots that they just shouldn't have. It's not. It's not that much of a stretch. It's still a stretch to believe Ridge could belly to belly Big E, but when I was training, I would work with guys that had a foot on me and 60, 70 pounds. And, and I would still be able to body slam them. It was as if, Hogan was picking up Andre, but it would be, it would just be, it's two people communicating, and again, this has to just be chalked up to just a freak accident.
Alright. Now, I don't want to say any injury is good, but could this potentially help Big E if they promote, a big comeback and kind of get him into a position of giving him a push like he was given when he won the championship? Kaliko.
Whew. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. I will say that. Um, that just depends on how they feel about him when he comes back. Because at that point, he was already in the tag team scene, so they felt like the experiment was over, quote unquote. Had he been, had he been on a level of push and significance of a Bailey, I could see your point, but given the position he was in, it's not more likely not going to happen. Because they're not going to break up. I mean, the one thing they would do is break up the New Day faction. However, Tom, that ain't happening. They made too much money off that. So, him
Well,
coming back and saving the New Day couple months down the line, or maybe even a year down the line, wouldn't be too much. And to think that dude was this close, he showed, like, he talked about it, like 1 inch and it's a wrap. He could have been dead 1 inch.
right.
So I think it's just one of those things where, like, luck of the draw. As much as I hate 2020, since 2020 people been getting, like, the Reaper been snatching souls. It's good to see, like, the good side of the coin where people are coming through. So
Right. But that brings a good point up. Will the New Day even be around in 6 months? I mean, Xavier's gone. E is gone. It's essentially just Kofi Kingston. Um, could Kofi do something extraordinary in 6 months to a year where the New Day is kind of pushed to the side, or is he basically
until the
just putting on the
until
sidelines?
I'll answer that before you get there. Until they change his music, the New Day will always be there.
Alright,
That's the telltale sign, right?
yeah,
Like, they change the theme music, it's a wrap, homie.
yeah, you're absolutely right. Alright, that will conclude the news for this week. Now, a quick word from our sponsors.
Hey guys, this is Brutal Bob Evans from Hangs with Bob Seminars and TheWrestleLife.com, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.